Hey everybody, Tom Vasel here. Welcome back to the Dice Tower Library. Today we're taking a look at one more of my shelves. This is the bottom of shelf 2, shelf 2E. And so let's just see what's down here. Some interesting games, of course. First of all, we have Dragon Castle. So Dragon Castle right here is a tile laying game. The tiles look like Mahjong. It's definitely not an accident. They look that way. A 3D group of tiles that you have building, and you are drafting these tiles, trying to get points and scoring them in different ways. It's a pretty solid game. I really wish this one had gotten more buzz just because of just how good this game is. It's fun, it's accessible, and it looks beautiful. Then we have Cooper Island. Now, Cooper Island is a fairly hefty game. It's a heavy game. I don't mean in weight, but in how difficult the game is, in a sense. This one, I got some really good pre-buzz, but didn't really do a lot once it landed. I don't see a lot of people playing it, but it still has some solid followers. I found it to be too much work for the payoff in the game, but I know some people will really like it, and that's why it's in our library. Rise of Augustus. Originally, it was just called Augustus. This is a bingo game. And Rise of Augustus, you simply are calling out different symbols that you pull, some Roman-themed symbols, and people are putting tokens on little boards in front of them. You finish a board, you get points, a special ability, draw another board. It's a really simple but entertaining game. It's one of those games that if you haven't played and you like the idea of bingo, you would want to play this. I mean, and bingo is obviously just all luck. There's more than luck in Rise of Augustus, some interesting choices, but it still gives you that excitement about hearing something called. Vikings Gone Wild. This game here from Lucky Duck Games is a deck building game, and it's one I really like because it's a game in which you attack your opponents, but you don't really hurt them. It's just that if they don't stop you from attacking them, you get points. And there's some cool expansions for it. I love the artwork for it. It's based on an app, as many Lucky Duck games were when this came out. And this was the first game that really put Lucky Duck on the map for me, and I still really enjoy it. Dawn of the Peacemakers is not a game I particularly enjoy, although I know that Mike likes it a lot. We usually argue about the game. In this game, you are a group of people, peacemakers, trying to make peace between armies by basically making them hurt each other equally. It's a kind of programmable, cooperative style game. It didn't do anything for me, and I'm actually thinking about pulling it from the library, not because of my liking of the game, but because there's some campaign legacy aspects to it, and also I just don't think it's tremendously popular. Spirit Island, on the other hand, yeah, now talk about a popular cooperative game. This is one of the most popular cooperative games, and yeah, I mean, what else can I say about it? A game in which you are forces on an island banding together to stop the people from colonizing the island, helping the natives on the island. An interesting theme for sure. It's one of the most involved cooperative games in existence. Yeah, just this one's not leaving a library. Tribes, Dawn of Humanity. From the same designer, I believe, as Nations, this is a pretty solid game. It's a little engine-building game. I do fear that it will never get played. The name itself isn't that popular. People are going to be looking for Rise of Tribes probably instead. When you see this game, it will make you think of that one. But people might play it, which is why it's on the shelf. But now we get to some games that people are going to always play. Stockpile. I've played this at so many conventions because it's so easy to teach people. And I'm always like, hey, do you like stock market games? No? You should play Stockpile anyway. I don't normally say that about games. You know, if you like auction games, if you don't like auction games, you'll like this one. But in Stockpile, I really do believe that. You might not like the stock market. You may not like games about it. But Stockpile itself is a really interesting, good one. Favor of the Pharaoh. This is a Yahtzee on steroids type game. At the end of the game, you're trying to roll a whole bunch of dice and win. But to get to that point, you roll dice and claim tiles, which give you special abilities to get more dice. This was originally a fairly small game, but this reprint done by Bezier Games is really well done, and so I just think it's a good game to pull out and play. Zooloretto. Now, this is a classic game. Wasn't a Spiel des Jahres, but a lot of people haven't heard of it. It's not necessarily in constant reprint today. It might be overseas, but here in the U.S., I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it's worth checking out. I really like Zooloretto. I think the theme is fun about building your own zoo. The idea of adding a tile to a truck, an animal, or taking a truck with animals just works really well. Then we have Robin Hood and the Merry Men. Now, despite the fact that I love this theme a lot, I love Robin Hood, and it sounds really interesting, I've never played this game because this company, Final Frontier, at this point in time, their games were too overwrought, and I heard so many negative things from people who liked Robin Hood and the Merry Men. Every time someone would say, I like it, but... Now, the people who liked it strong enough that I added it to the library for that purpose. And maybe I'll get around to playing it someday, but I heard it was just overly convoluted. Now, not overly convoluted, right next to it, Asking for Trobils. That is a great worker placement game that works really well with families. You're putting stuff down, getting resources, stopping these annoying trouble aliens from taking over the world. It's just a good combo. It's fun and it's interesting. And then for my own just silly pleasure, I put Formula D and Formula E next to each other. Now, oddly enough, I've never even played Formula E. It's a racing elephant game that did not do tremendously well when it was on Kickstarter, but I've heard good things about it. I know Z Garcia likes it a lot. So at some point, I will get this one played. Formula D, though, which was originally called Formula Day, a racing game in which the dice, depending on what gear you are in, you're using a 30-sided die all the way down to a 4-sided die. It is just a classic game. This is the kind of game people get out. This is the kind of game that I actually want to upgrade and do more cool things with than I normally do to games. So I'm going to have to get around to this one at some point. So there you go. That's everything on Shelf 2E. This one would be a tough one for me to find my favorite game on here. Man, there's so many that are close. So off the top of my head, I might say Stockpile, just because it's such a simple game with inside information on stocks that I really like. Well, there you go, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower Library Shelves with me.